Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to have my new friend, Patricia Viscount, on the show. Patricia, why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Patricia Viscount, and I am a conversion copywriter. And service providers like accountants, tradespeople, financial planners, or wealth managers hire me to attract their ideal audience with on-brand fun. I like to have fun. Website copy, strategy, and email copy.
Love it. And we'll talk about that because I think, fun is a prerequisite for me. If it's not fun, I have zero ability to force myself to do something. I am a big grown-up child, and fun is very important. So that's going to be one of the themes of this conversation. And at the end, I'm going to ask you how people can get a hold of you. But let's jump right in. And the whole point of this session, this episode, we're going to talk about networking and how you use networking and how it's benefited you. Now, you were about to say something, and you know what? I feel sorry for my audience because I get to have really fun conversations, and then it's like, oh, we should have turned on the recording. We were about to talk about the best piece of networking event advice that you give to people who are new to networking. So share your beautiful wisdom right out of the gate. And sorry to everybody who missed the beginning conversation.
Oh, it's all good. So a coach once told me that you really shouldn't be thinking about networking or building a relationship or having a conversation even with somebody with the mindset of, I'm going to turn this person into a client, or I'm going to turn this person into a customer, because that really sucks all of the energy and the fun out of it. But for me, it's okay, I'm grateful for the opportunity to meet new people, to learn new things. And for me, that really helps me be present in the moment so that I'm not thinking, okay, what did they just say? And how can I turn that into a benefit for me? It's, what are you all about? Do I like you? Do I trust you? And do I really want to continue this conversation past this conversation?
Yeah. And I think that's the point that transactional networkers miss is, hey, I've got a widget. Would you like to buy a widget, Patricia? No. Okay, next. Whereas you didn't stop and say, like you're assuming that Patricia would buy the widget from me just because I said I have it. You're skipping the whole, does Patricia like me? Does she trust me?
Yes. And I think that a lot of people go into networking with that mindset is, I'm going to talk to as many people and sell as many widgets as I can, as opposed to, okay, I'm just learning about people and being curious and being in the moment. And if I feel like we had a good vibe or good energy, then we can connect offline or we can continue this conversation. But yeah, I hate going into networking events like that, where it's, you instantly get what I do and what I sell. And so that's, yeah, that just kind of feels not good for me.
There's a word for that. Now, we're going to talk about networking, and one of my past guests had a good word. I can't remember. It was like speed pitching or something. And I'm like, yeah, those are not the events Jeff goes to. Like, it's
No.
It's I grew up in a small town and I used to go to those small town auctions, and you had that pressure, either you buy or you don't. But I don't enjoy that environment.
And people are speed talking. It's like, okay, I'm going to spend 3 seconds with you, and if you're not going to buy my thing, then I'm going to move on. And
Yeah,
it's just, yeah, that's not a good vibe for me.
yeah. It's and it's funny because it's like speed dating, but without, I don't know. I just don't get it. But again, that's why you and I are having a chat. Um, so I'm going to ask you first and foremost how you personally benefit from what I'm going to call networking, and then I'm going to ask you to define networking. But let's start with how networking has benefited you.
So for me, obviously, it helps me grow my network. So getting to learn about new people, see new people, meet new people. But what I also really like, because I'm an extrovert and I'm very curious, so I like to ask a lot of questions, and I learn about other people and how and their journey, and I get to learn, grow, learn about their systems and their processes. So if they're ahead of me, then I can kind of fast forward a couple of steps, because I get to learn about how people did it successfully, or what minefields not to step in. But
What not to
also,
do is very
yeah,
important.
100%. And also, um, if there is somebody, I like to be a connector. So I like to see if there's somebody that I can immediately think of that is, you need to meet this person, or this person needs to meet you. So I like that too. I'm always thinking about that. So that, and to me, I love being able to connect people. So that also helps me personally.
I love it. And I think that's one of those things, when you get it, you get it. And that's all you need to say. But for, I think, others, there's a little bit more. And so I'll ask some follow-up questions here. But let's get into, first and foremost, how do you define networking? And let's maybe talk about what is good networking in your world and what is bad networking, because I think that distinction is important.
Yes, 100%. So networking for me is getting out, meeting new people, meeting people. Do you think that you could be a client, a referral partner, just a friend that you'd love to go for coffee with, a mentor, something like that? So for me, networking is a bunch of different things, but first and foremost, it's just meeting new people and learning about people and their stories. And because I love that, because I'm an extrovert. So I really do enjoy meeting new people and seeing if I can serve them, if I can help them in a connection kind of way. Do I know somebody who can help you, or you can help them? Or yeah, do I know, like, and trust you? Or do I feel like I could know, like, and trust you, and we could move on from there?
Yeah.
Bad networking is, like we talked about before, like getting into a room and instantly feeling the pressure that you need to buy something from somebody, that they have an ulterior motive. Or I love this, you're having a conversation with somebody and their eyes are moving past you. It's like, who can I talk to next? So it kind of gives me am I not interesting enough? Am I not in your ideal client? It's that, to me, it's, you focus on the people or person in that you're having the conversation with, and then excuse yourself gracefully if you're not getting that, and then move on. But don't be in a conversation with somebody and looking around the room. That's not a nice way of of building a relationship.
Well, my favorite line, and actually the title of the book, is Building Authentic Relationships. And people ask me all the time, how do you do it? And I'm like, number one, I focus on the person I'm talking to. It's surprising how many people don't understand that your attention tells the other person more about you than what you're saying. If you're looking around, they know you're not interested. And that's the thing. I think you receive what you give. So if you're paying attention to people and they're not paying attention to you, Um, I don't have that conversation. I say, you know, I'm going to let you go. You look like you're looking for somebody. Is there anybody I can help you find? I'm an introvert, so I want to manage my energy. And if the person in
Yeah.
front of me is not big on whatever, you know, they either don't believe they're a client of mine or they don't think I'm a client of theirs, I gently send them somewhere else because again, I never lose by connecting to people. And I think that was my one observation is the best networkers have this abundance mindset that, you know, I help you, you might not become a client of mine, but somehow my network is better because you're happy and you're part of it.
Right. I'm a recovering BNIer, so I do believe in the giver's gain because I think that is truly how we all win. So,
And you know, honestly, the whole point of this book slash podcast was I wanted to meet other networkers. I wanted to share tips, and I'll make sure you get a copy of the book, Patricia. But I am blown away by the different angles, you know, and having introverts and extroverts has been fascinating. Um, so it's a lot of fun. Now let's talk about networking tips. So you're planning to go, I don't know, first and foremost, let's start with how do you network? Are you an in-person person or are you a Zoom person?
that's a very good question. And I have been struggling with this for the last probably 6 months because I love in person. I love the energy of the room. I love being able to connect with people. However, in person often encourages you to play small. So when you're online, you can have people from all over the world. You can have people that so that instantly opens your network, your relationships, your business to people that are outside of who you would ever find, obviously, in person. So I have a probably a 50-50 split right now. So yeah, but for those particular reasons, I find value in both of them.
I love it. And I think one of the big reminders I've gotten out of this project is have a goal for your networking. If you don't have a goal, it doesn't matter if you're live or on Zoom, you know, the challenge with COVID was the world opened up on Zoom, everybody started networking and you can get really busy being a networker and forget why you did it in the first place.
Yes, it's interesting. One of the first pieces of advice from a colleague of mine that went out on her own when she started her own business was, she said, I've gotten people ask me for coffee dates all the time. We chat, we talk about, but they never ask me, do you know anybody who I could serve? Do you
Yeah.
know somebody who might need my services? Or she said, nobody ever asks for the sale. And I know that that's not often, that's not always what it is, but it's just interesting that it's kind of the same thing with networking. It's like, okay, that was a great conversation. Bye. But without saying, is there somebody else that you think I would be good, it would be good for me to meet, or can that kind of thing, like to expand your network. So with warm introductions as opposed to, cold, hi, you don't know me, but somebody told me that you were a good networker or you needed help or whatever. It just,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's good advice for somebody just starting out is know why you're in the room. Like
yes,
and have two options. Option A is well, actually there's three options. Option A, I'm there to buy something. Option B, I'm there to sell something. And option C is I'm there to build my community. I think that option C is always on the table. You just need to know what your first option is.
exactly. And I was at an in-person conference a couple of weeks ago. And so this is one of the tips when you were talking about tips. So it's called 3-2-1. And I don't know if it's an actual thing or not, but so
It is
basically,
today.
okay, there you go. So meet or have in mind that you're going to meet 3 new people. So go out and meet 3 new people. 2 is meet or see or reconnect with 2 people that you already know to kind of deepen the relationship. And then 1 is book 1 coffee date, Zoom meeting, whatever, to get to know somebody else, whether it's know, like, and trust, whether it's a referral, whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's, yeah. So 3, 2, 1 is how I kind of go into a networking event thinking.
And I think honestly, Patricia, one of my little observations, and I've been guilty of this myself, you get so used to meeting new people, you don't stop and go back to the people you've already met. And this project came about because of that. I looked at my network and I went, I haven't talked to so and so in a long time. And I thought, how can I add value to people in my network without taking a lot of my time and energy? And this is what I'm doing with the episodes. And I think, your 3-2-1 methodology, I'm going to really, really focus on that, because that's what I believe is missing in most networking, is that follow-up piece.
Yes. And that's, I have an accountability partner who I met through networking. So it's amazing. So that's her thing. She said, I've got all these connections on LinkedIn, let's say. You make the initial connection, you have that first exchange of texts or posts or emails or whatever, and then crickets.
Yep.
So it's like, how do you go back to that and reach out and reconnect or reestablish or further that relationship, because you're so busy meeting new people. And it's like the people that you already know a lot of people that could help you, and you're not taking advantage of the people that you already know.
Yeah.
So
And really, you're not serving them to your best either. Like, it's a two-way street. And it's funny because I use the word taking advantage too, and I realize it sounds negative, but I know in your heart that it's a two-way street, right?
yes,
It's what's that saying? Rising tides lifts all ships.
yes.
um I spend a lot of time in, one of my big books, and I want to talk about yours, but my biggest book that influenced me was The Go-Giver. And I really struggled because I was giving and helping others, but as I realized, I was selfishly not allowing others to help me. And that's one of the things I think good networkers do it as much for the joy of helping, as they do for anything else. So
Yes. Well, and it's interesting because one of the steps of persuasion is the reciprocity, right?
yeah.
So the givers are always giving, but and then they feel bad about taking or getting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's interesting. We have to give ourselves permission to actually receive instead of giving all the time. Because my favorite book is also The Go-Giver.
I love it. Well, I'm going to ask you for another one. Seeing as how,
Oh
sorry,
no.
you mentioned giver's gain. So
Oh,
I
sorry, that's my bad. Sorry. Jane. So my brother's personalized license plate is go-getter. So that's where my brain went. Sorry.
there you go. Fun fact: Go-Getter is a character in The Go-Giver. So my question is, what has inspired you the most as a networker? And you mentioned that you're from the BNI world and the giver's gain. Um, is that your biggest inspiration, or are there other inspiring things that make you want to be better as a networker?
Yes, I really do love the giver's gain attitude, because you're absolutely right. I'm not quite so fancy. I say high tide floats all boats. I don't I don't have ships, I just have a boat. But
That rhymes, so I'm going to take that one. That's so much better. You
so
reinvented it.
yeah. The giver's gain, yes, but also the connection piece is really what inspires me as well, is that whole the high tide floats all boats. So if I can help somebody that I know, that is looking for something or is struggling, or that I just think that it would help them that extra 10% or whatever, then I love to be able to make that connection. So yes, it's my helping somebody else and my getting reciprocity, but it's also being able to connect others outside of myself, to because I know that the other two people will be able to, serve each other, help each other, that they can be a fit for each other, which is what I love.
I love it. And I think that's something that's hard to explain to transactional people is the sheer joy of a match well made. Is that a fair comment from your world?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's so interesting. So I'm not sure whether examples are allowed or not, but
Oh, this
so
is a book to help people see the path. So whatever you need to
excellent.
tell your story.
So during networking, I met a woman who has a particular service, and I have a colleague that needed that service. So Pinterest ads was what the woman sold. I have a colleague that is a marketing agency, and she was struggling with Pinterest ads, Pinterest people, social posts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I joined them together, and now they're working on different clients. So and because the woman who focuses on Pinterest ads is in Croatia, and the marketing agency is here in my local town of Calgary, they would never have met. So that, again, it's all about networking, how it all comes together. I love that feeling.
Well, I'll share an example that you might appreciate. I'm in Edmonton, and I have a friend in Calgary who does pain management. She helps people with very specific pain. And I have a client in Pittsburgh who has this pain. He's had it for years, and he reached out to me and he said, "Jeff, I need help with this." He asked me a business question, and I said, "Well, how are you doing? Because I know you had this issue." And he said, "Oh, it got really bad recently." And I connected the two of them, and it's completely unrelated to my business. But I now have a fan in Calgary who before she just kind of liked me. Now she's like, "Oh my God, Jeff brought me a client." And I have a big client down in Pittsburgh who is pain free for the first time in years. And he's like, "Jeff, you're amazing." And like it's just, to me, that's a high. But it also, in a way, because my goal is to grow my business, to grow my network, um, I know for a fact they're both going to refer people to me.
Exactly. And that's the win-win-win, right? That's the beauty of this. Yeah.
And I work in the marketing and sales space, as I do know you do.
Yeah.
My goal is ultimately that we become redundant. Networking works so well and people are so good at referrals that the world doesn't need marketing and sales. That's my goal. And I can say that because I know my livelihood's on the line. But the reality is, if I network well, I'll find out a new thing to do to serve humanity. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I I feel redundant already now.
but the beautiful thing, I mean, you're a storyteller. That's never going to go away. You
No,
know,
no,
I we were hardwired, and whether we think we've evolved and we want to talk about all these fancy things, we're still those primitive cave people who want to dance around the fire, listening, playing music, making music, and telling stories.
yeah.
I mean, you think about the podcast, this is no different than, any circle where people used to sit around the hearth and talk about the hunt or whatever it is. It's ideas being shared. And I don't think storytelling's ever going to vanish.
No, even over the last year, obviously there's been a lot of angst about AI and how we were already going to lose our jobs. But that it's the customer experience, and it's the context, and it's, you know, all of that stuff. So I'm not worried about AI just yet. But
Well,
yeah, to be a good storyteller is even just to make, you know, family gatherings more interesting. Just to be able to, yeah, to have that commonality, and even just you know, what did you do today, or how were your holidays when we started this conversation? You know,
yeah.
it's just, it's so nice to be able to share and make that connection.
And I think that's, you know, I'm just gonna say this for the marketing and salespeople out there, is we try to be too clever. Like I'm gonna guess, and I know very little about your work, but the fact that you were referred to me, I'm gonna guess something. You focus on connecting humans at a human level.
Yeah.
My little pet peeve about marketing and sales is as a collective, and I say we because, you know, I'm part of that engine, but you know, I'm really focusing on relationship, not the cheap tricks.
Yeah.
But we try to get so clever and try to trick people, when the irony is the simple, direct, good story is usually the shortest path between two humans doing business together. Would you
Yeah.
agree? Or
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that I get to make money and telling people's stories and learning about people's stories and helping them authentically and genuinely tell them. And because, and I, again, I'm not sure whether I'm riding that fine line, but being, helping or supporting service providers like accountants and financial planners, where it's saturated. You know, you just go onto Google and there's hundreds, if not thousands of them. How do you differentiate yourself
yeah.
amongst all of the competition? Tell your story, or making your story memorable, that kind of thing. That is very exciting to me. That's why I love what I do.
I love it. And by the way, I think it's adorable, Patricia, that you're worried that there's some line out there. You and I met through friends, so there's no such thing as, oh, yeah. And I say this sincerely. I believe you're here to serve humanity. So, you know, if that means we put some cash in your pocket, that's okay. So I'm going to ask about your top networking tips, and then we're going to talk about how people can work with you, so you can see that there is no line. Um, so what would you say are a couple of your top favorite networking secrets, the little gems that make you smile every time you go, oh my God, that's simple yet effective?
So when I go into a networking event and I'm thinking, be curious, be sincere, and follow up or follow through. So if you say, I'm going to connect you with this person, or I've got a great podcast for you to listen to, or whatever, to follow up. And those are the top three things that I think about, on top of the going into it with a gratitude mindset. It's like, which allows me to be present. I'm not here to, I'm here to sell, obviously, or I'm here to get my name out there and get known, but I'm not in this particular event for the next hour, 2 hours to sell you something. And then the 3-2-1 for me has really worked to grow my network, but also remind me of the people that I already know.
I love it. Now, it would be wrong of us not to acknowledge how we met. Who connected us?
Aha, now you're gonna.
Was it Victoria Givlin?
It was Jennifer Givlin, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Excellent. I know both of them, so it's, but
yeah. Well, mother daughter. So
exactly. And by the
yeah.
way, Victoria was on the show, so she's in the book as well. So I think I'm going to give a bonus tip. You know, a mutual friend said you two need to connect and figure out how you can help each other. We did, and I think and I want to just call out that Patricia keeps worrying about my feelings and overstepping. Um, I don't have boundaries when it comes to friends and friends of friends. It's like, you want to share what you do? Great. So here's the final hard question, Patricia. If somebody's watching this or reading your chapter in the book and they're like, oh my God, I like her, how can they get to know you better? How can they follow you? How can they connect with you and maybe get your help with storytelling?
So I am on LinkedIn, which is my main platform. So yeah, Patricia Viscount on LinkedIn, and or send me an email at patricia@patriciaviscount.com. And that's my main email. So I would be more than happy to meet with somebody, to exchange emails, exchange thoughts, and yeah, I really do. I really want to connect with people that I can help, that I can support.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you who are wondering, and I don't think even Patricia knows this, I'm going to be putting bios links in the book and
Oh,
in the show notes. So this is sincerely, if you've gotten any value out of chatting and watching Patricia and I chat, this is not a publicity stunt. I speak for Patricia. I speak for myself. Connect with us on LinkedIn because we like fun people, and that's the thing. I know with certainty, and Patricia can attest to this. If one of the Givelin gals tells me to connect with somebody, I do. No questions asked. Patricia, would you agree?
yes, absolutely.
All right. Final question. Is there anything I should have asked you that you'd love to share, but I didn't ask?
No, no, but I guess yes. In the end, yes. Another one of my coaches, I seem to have spent a lot of money on coaches.
That's a good
She
thing.
always says relationship first, rapport always.
Yeah.
So build relationships, but always have that rapport, and try not to put that at risk. So
I love it. Well, Patricia, I truly value your contributions to the book and to the podcast. So thank you. And I sincerely say to people in my community, you like this video, you watched it this far. Trust me when I say reach out to Patricia. She's fun. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being on the show and for being in the book.
thank you. Well, the Givelin girls told me that you were the best. So I had to, once I
No
thought of
pressure.
that.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.